Okay, the new Democratic Congress has been sworn in. Democrats control the House. Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House, and we're already seeing Republicans triggered by Democratic ideas. And today we're going to dig deep into first-term Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's idea. It's not yet a proposal, just an idea of a 70% top marginal tax rate on the super wealthy, specifically to take that money and fund programs that are including, I guess I would say, the Green New Deal, which we've been hearing about. And there is so much to talk about here. And there are kind of three layers to this thing. Okay. First of all, what's the proposal? How much tax on who and to pay for what? That's part one. Secondly, what historical data do we have about what happens when you stick these high marginal tax rates on the very wealthy? And then number three, this is the most fun part. Do Republicans not understand how marginal tax rates work, or are they deliberately lying in order to confuse people about them? So stick with me until the end, because that's a sort of key part of this entire thing. So last night in an interview with 60 Minutes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez suggested that maybe we should be looking at a top marginal tax rate of around 70% used to fund the Green New Deal and other proposals, other programs, and to get rid of fossil fuel within 12 years. Very ambitious goal. I'm not going to play the clip from CBS because they've been extra aggressive lately with what I believe is fair use of their clips, but I don't want to put our YouTube channel at risk, so we are just going to read to you a little bit about what she said about this 70% top marginal tax rate in her interview with Anderson Cooper. Quote, "What is the problem with trying to push our technological capacities to the furthest extent possible? There's an element where, yeah, people are going to have to start paying their fair share in taxes. I think that it only has ever been radicals that have changed this country. Yeah, if that's what radical means, call me a radical." So, of course, this is a top marginal tax rate, meaning that you would see a progressively higher tax as income goes up. The right likes to say, when it comes to sort of understanding the underlying philosophies of taxation, the right likes to say that taxes should be low on the rich because they create jobs, because the rich having more money trickles down to the lower economy, and it raises all boats like a rising tide. This is called effectively supply side economics. The left and people who understand reality, quite frankly, understand that there is a diminishing marginal utility to dollars. What that means is if you have $10 to your name, an additional $10 doubles your net worth. That's huge. If you have $100 to your name, an additional $10 is useful, but it's not as useful to you as to the person who only has $10 to begin with. If you have $1 million, $10 is nothing, right? It's interest on a savings account. It's a rounding error. It's nothing. And in the same way, the more money you have, the more likely you are to just let any extra money that you obtain sit in a savings account, which is not stimulative to the economy as much as giving the money to poorer people would be, who would be more likely to spend the money and inject it into the economy. This is called demand side economics. At a certain point, the marginal utility of another dollar is zero. If you're Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Mark Zuckerberg and you have billions of dollars, a 1 percentage point increase in your taxes, which leaves you with 1 percentage point less money at the end of the year, it has zero impact on your life. Maybe it's not literally zero, but it's 0.000001% of each dollar actually impacts your life and your financial decisions in any way. That is what a higher top marginal tax rate capitalizes on, that for the very rich, those additional dollars do nothing for them, but they would do a lot for other people, for the economy, for social programs, etc. So now that we understand the idea, let's look at the data about the history of these very high or higher top marginal tax rates. The US used to have more tax brackets, and they used to have higher tax brackets at the top. So under Dwight D. Eisenhower as president, the top tax bracket was 91%. This went down to 50% under Reagan. This went down to 38% after the 1986 tax reform. With more tax brackets, you can have different top marginal tax rates for someone earning $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, 10 million, 100 million. Right now, everybody earning over 510 or so $1,000 a year pays 37%. Okay, that's it. The highest bracket starts at $510,000 in income, and there's nothing else above that. It's 37% all the way up. So then we get to, what does policy and economic research tell us the top marginal tax rate should be? Well, the question is, what are you trying to achieve? The right is correct when they say, if you keep raising that top tax rate, at a certain point, it will stop people from working at all, which the government doesn't want, because then they make zero, right? So if you go too high, it actually reduces government revenue. What MIT research has found is that a top marginal tax rate of 73% is the point at which the government will maximize revenue by taking advantage of that very high end for whom those additional dollars have very little utility. There's complex math around it, which we don't need to get into, but the point is, a top marginal tax rate of 70%, as sort of floated by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, if you set it up with the correct brackets, would be something that raises a ton of money for programs that would actually improve our society. So that is the sort of history of the tax brackets. Now, lastly, some Republicans seem to not understand that this is just a marginal tax rate. It's not the rate anybody pays on all their income. So as an example, Republican Congressman Steve Scalise tweeted over the weekend about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's interview with 60 Minutes, where she talked about this. He said, Republicans, let Americans keep more of their own hard-earned money. Democrats, take away 70% of your income and give it to leftist fantasy programs. No one wants to take 70% of your money based on a 70% top marginal tax rate, okay? Everybody pays the same rate on the first $510,000 that they earn. You then put in place higher rates for money earned beyond that. Now, I don't know if Steve Scalise and other Republicans who are saying this stuff, I don't know if they don't understand how marginal tax rates work, or if they're deliberately playing dumb to incite their followers. But let's explain it really, really simply, okay? I put together the 2019 actual tax brackets with some hypothetical higher tax brackets that would get us up to 70% marginal tax, okay? So in reality right now, everybody pays 10% on income up to $9,700. Everybody. Doesn't matter if you made $1 million or $10 million. On your first $9,700, you pay 10%. Likewise, you have rates of 12, 22, 24, 32, 35, and 37% on other income ranges. So if you make $100,000 a year, you pay 22% on everything between 40 and 85,000. And then for what you earn between it's exactly 84,201 and 100,000, you pay 24%. On your first $84,000 in income, you pay the same as everybody who makes less than you and everybody who makes more than you. So the way that you could set up a tax bracket system, the way Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is proposing, is that maybe you pay 37% on income between $510,000 and $1 million. And then for income between 1 and 10 million, you pay 45%. For income between 10 and 50 million, you pay 58%. And then you pay 70% tax only on your income above $50 million a year. So if you earn $12 million, you pay that 58% rate only on what you make between 10 and $12 million. Again, this is hypothetical. This is how marginal tax rates work. This is kind of like debt and deficit. I can't believe we're having this conversation and that I have to explain to people that the way the right is talking about this stuff is either ignorant or, I guess you would say, deliberately ignorant in order to mislead you. The idea that someone is going to swoop in and say, you now give me 70% of all your income, that's not how marginal tax brackets work. My question to you, Do they know this? And they're playing dumb in order to fire up their followers to say AOC wants to take all your money? Or do they not understand how marginal tax rates work? Send me your thoughts. Send me your thoughts on our Instagram page. Well, we will be posting a clip from this show, David Pakman Show on Instagram. Follow me, David.Pakman. Quick break, back after this.